following is an exclusive presentation of News Radio KMAN, your home for K-State athletics. It's game time. This is The Game on News Radio KMAN.
Okay, so I thought this whole time the games that Caitlin Clark was playing for the Indiana Fever so far were regular season games. That's my bad. They were being covered like regular season games.
No doubt about that. Just preseason action?
Yeah, just preseason. Her official regular season career kicks off tonight.
Yeah, I thought it started last Friday, truthfully. You just taught me that information now, so we're both learning.
Making her debut at Mohegan Sun Arena. Nice. 6:30 ESPN2 against the Connecticut Sun. Cool.
Yeah, real big market team, Connecticut Sun, I hear.
I like the arena, Mohegan Sun Arena.
Yeah, I like that name a lot.
A lot of big things have happened there. Welcome to the game, Mitch Fortner and Owen Burke with us today. And gonna have a lot of fun today. I want to play a couple of games because some tickets landed on my desk today, and I thought I was out of tickets, but apparently I am not. This will most likely be your last chance. Don't know yet, but this could be your last chance for the rest of this academic year to win some tickets. And I have two pair for Thursday's game, Toyton Family Stadium, K-State hosting BYU. Big 12 newcomers, so I got a couple of rounds of KSU or BYU ready to go. One of my favorite games to play. And you have two opportunities during today's show to win a pair of tickets to Thursday evening's game at Toyton against BYU. So hope you got your K-State BYU knowledge ready to go. You got to get 2 out of 3 questions right to get the tickets. Nobody has lost the game yet. So your chance is coming up in not this segment, but the next segment, and there'll be a chance in hour number 2 to win some tickets as well. We'll have a Jabroni of the week here in hour number 1. Hour number 2, we'll feature that K-State had a transfer quarterback in town for a visit to be a backup potentially for Avery Johnson. Talk a little Chiefs. We now know 2 games in their schedule. I'm honestly not the biggest fan of how this is shaping out so far for Kansas City. We'll do, another baseball ticket giveaway at 5:40-ish. We'll see how we're doing on time. Real quick, though, we need to pour one out. This has been a rough day for some, and that is there's a lot of Red Lobster restaurants closing today.
Yeah.
People are losing their jobs because of endless shrimp. Don't forget that, people. Endless shrimp can hurt your business.
That's the headline.
That's what the headline says, but I think there's more to it. Because this is like chapter something or other, bankruptcy for Red Lobster. They're closing. The number keeps changing as the day continues, but the last number I saw was 87 stores in 27 states have closed today.
Wow.
And today and yesterday. Wow. So it's been the last couple of days. I think the biggest reason why Red Lobster is folding is because one never opened in Manhattan.
Yeah.
I mean, have we not been talking about Red Lobster in this town coming here for decades?
I've only been here for a couple of years, and I've heard the talk.
And it never quite made it, did it?
No.
What happened with it was it turned into a cliche April Fool's Day prank.
Yeah.
That's as far as we got with a Red Lobster in Manhattan.
I heard we're getting a Red Lobster this year. April Fools.
It's every year.
Every year.
Another issue with Red Lobster is you're a seafood restaurant and your most popular item on the menu is the biscuits.
Yeah, that'll do some damage.
And it was not too long ago where they said, well, sorry guys, the biscuits are now no longer unlimited.
Yeah,
you get 2.
That's a hurtful business strategy right there.
I went to Red Lobster one time in my life, and I thought it was okay.
Yeah.
but I wanted more than 2 biscuits.
Oh, 100%.
Because they're pretty good.
Yeah.
They're solid.
You're like, yeah, and that's the thing. Like, this isn't a model that's failed others before. Texas Roadhouse is very famous for their rolls. You don't see them closing down 87 stores in 2 days.
No, not at all. Texas Roadhouse is crushing.
Yeah, they're absolutely living it up. And, I guarantee you they go down to 2 rolls of meal there at Texas Roadhouse, anarchy. There's going to be peanuts everywhere. Not just the floor, everywhere.
You're onto something there. Yes, I agree. That is a great restaurant perk. I love a good restaurant perk. I like the freebies. That's why Tex-Mex is so popular. Rest in peace to the Salina Red Lobster. That did close. I think Topeka's is still open.
Ooh.
Are there some is there at least one in Wichita?
Yeah, I'm going to have to go look now and see if the one closest to me closed down in Wichita there.
I'm sorry, Salina, but I'm sure for you guys that was 5-star dining.
It's got to be close up there. That's a heavy blow for a town to take. It hurts us, and we didn't even have one, so we just now have zero opportunity of ever having one. They ruined our joke. What am I going to do April Fool's next year? I have no Red Lobster joke to cue for you.
Salina, to me, kind of feels like Topeka. It just doesn't feel like there are a ton of, homegrown options.
Yeah, I would agree with you.
There's a few.
There's a couple.
But let me tell you something. Where Manhattan does certainly excel are non-chain restaurants.
True.
Doing a pretty good job. If there are chains involved with any of these local restaurants, they're not very large, and they're all pretty local.
Yeah, they are very local, yeah.
Welcome to the game. Did I welcome us yet?
I think you did.
Mitch Fortner, Owen Burke, can remember. Like I mentioned, we have a pretty busy show. Our big story today when it comes to K-State is a man that needed to be more talked about than he was. Needed to be talked about more on this show, in the media. Because it's just today is one of those moments. Is like, man, you just didn't realize how much work and how much success this person had until, like today, they announced their retirement. Here comes the article about what they did in their career, and you're like, holy cow, what dedication to the sport! Look at these accolades. Good job, sir. Legendary, all caps, legendary. Track coach, cross country coach Cliff Rovelto. Announced earlier today he is retiring at the end of this outdoor season after 32 years as a head coach. That actually goes longer than 32 years because he was an assistant here at K-State before he became a head coach, so it was more like 36 years if I did my math correctly. And by the way, before he came to K-State, not only was he a coach at KU, he graduated from KU. You want to talk about the heist of the 20th century.
No kidding.
The Cats getting Cliff Rovelto to be their head coach. I'm going to start talking about just his accolades and what a career for Cliff Rovelto, who started here in 1988, developed K-State into a top track and field program, cross-country program, 5 Big 12 championships he won. 4 of those were won by the women's outdoor team. I remember the back-to-back titles in 17 and 18, talking about it here on K-Man and on the game. But on top of that, 33 top 20 finishes as a team at the NCAA championships, 10 top 10s, couple of times finished in 5th place. That's as close as they got to a national championship. And if you kind of put that in perspective, when you consider the points and if a couple of events go a little bit better, man, you may consider that the closest, other than the men's basketball team back in the 50s losing a national championship game to Kentucky, might be the closest K-State's ever been to a team national title. The event that certainly excelled more than others during his time at K-State was the high jump. High jump U was Kansas State University, men's and women's. And I learned a lot about the high jump at K-State under Cliff Rovelto today, just reading up on his resume and the accolades, as his athletes have combined to claim 12 individual NCAA championships in the event, both indoor and outdoor. And I'm gonna bring up a couple of names, a few names here that I think a lot of people are going to recognize. And they're going to recognize, because not only of K-State's coverage of promoting these student athletes, both on websites, on social media, but the shout-outs they would get at K-State football games, K-State basketball games. I've done this a number of times now where a track and field athlete is getting a big shout-out in front of a capacity crowd at Bill Snyder Family Stadium. Those names you might recognize: Scott Sellers, TJ Shankar, and Eric Kennard. Sellers won 3 national championships. Eric Kennard won 2, and TJ won a couple as well. Something I did not know before today: Cliff Rovelto's first national champion in the high jump was Purcell Gaskins. I was like, the Purcell Gaskins, who played for Bill Snyder in the mid-'90s? A linebacker? One of the first players I remember wearing the cowboy collar? The butterfly cowboy collar? That Purcell Gaskins? Sure was.
Wow.
Old number 9.
Wow.
I did not know that.
That is a great bit of trivia.
I mean, I've been open about my not the best memory when it comes to the, because I was 3 years old when he won that national championship, so that part of my K-State history and memory isn't the best. But I definitely know Purcell Gaskins. And there is a famous highlight, and I believe it was against KU, where he's coming off the edge on the left side and gets a little pump fake from the quarterback. He leaps up in the air. And you want to talk about getting up there, getting some vertical.
Get some vert on there.
I was like, well, there's your clue.
Yeah.
Right there, that guy can jump, and he's a good high jumper. So, boy, when I saw that name, I started doing some research.
Do a little double take.
I was like, I gotta find more information on this. And that was early in his that was very early in his college career. Gaskins was drafted. He played a couple of years in the NFL, went on to coach a little bit of high school football. I don't know how much of his track career really continued after that national championship. Boy, was a high jump good for K-State. Since 1989, this is a good nugget here. Since 1989, K-State has produced at least one All-American in the high jump in 30 of the last 35 years, earning 76 All-American honors in the event. Good Lord.
Wow.
It goes further than that because both all three, Sellers, Kennard, Shankar were 8-time All-Americans, which is obviously rare, but also that includes indoor and outdoor on the high jump. Shankar actually was a 9-time All-American because he also competed in the triple jump. And on the world stage, let's not forget this because we got to mention the Olympians at K-State. Rovelto coached 17 individuals who went on to compete in the Olympics. The most famous one is because he represented the United States, and Eric Kennard, who won the gold medal in 2012. It was originally a silver, but because of the Russian doping scandal thing, that Russian who got the gold was disqualified, and Kennard's silver medal was upgraded to a gold medal. I remember being in the booth with Dave Lewis when he got to announce that at Bill Snyder Family Stadium, and that got one of the loudest receptions for a non-football, non-basketball student athlete being honored individually in front of a crowd for some sort of, or even teams. It got a incredibly loud ovation, and he absolutely deserved that. I just can't remember what year that was he was honored and when that was all figured out, but I do remember that. That was a very awesome moment for Eric Kennard, and of course, well deserved. Now, Matt Hemingway as well won a silver medal, and there's another person I don't know how to say their name. It's pretty foreign. I'm not sure, so sorry about that. Cliff Rovelto, a 6-time Big 12 Coach of the Year, 2001 NCAA Women's Outdoor National Coach of the Year. And how about this? This is probably this is the proud 2 numbers here for Cliff Rovelto. And this isn't even finished numbers, but during his time at K-State as a coach, 222 All-Americans, 109 conference championship. So, once again, I want to congratulate, and the season's not over, but Cliff Rovelto announcing earlier today that he is going to retire after 32 seasons as a head coach for K-State track and field and cross country. Coach, enjoy your retirement and a hell of a career. All right, let's take our first break. Still to come in hour number one, we'll have a new Jabroni of the week. But when we come back, Owen, why don't we get a caller right now? We'll get the caller during the break, get him set up to play a little BYU or KSU. If you want to win 2 tickets to K-State baseball Thursday hosting BYU, now is the time to call 785-537-1350. Again, the phone number is 785-537-1350 to win 2 tickets to K-State and BYU on Thursday. You're listening to The Game.
Promise strength. Ain't nobody man enough to feel the pain. And you could be next. You better give respect. Cause ain't nobody breaking this.
All right, well, we had a caller. And now we don't have one. Cold feet?
We'll get through it. We will always persevere.
Well, here's the deal. We still have 2 tickets to go away to K-State baseball, so if you just want the tickets, feel free to call in. We can still play a game, KSU versus BYU. Unless that person wants to call back, the phone lines are open, 785-537-1350. But if they don't feel like playing, we can go in and just move on with the show because there are a number of topics I do want to get to. Jabroni of the Week is coming up at 4:40. Plus, in our hour number 2, we'll take a look at what's going on recently with K-State basketball. Transfer quarterback in town. We'll Chiefs talk about their schedule and how I'm honestly not exactly the biggest fan of the way it's playing out so far, but it is pretty interesting. And we'll have a little Ask Us Anything in hour number 2. Started to notice that the Big 12 win totals are starting to come out from Vegas and from writers. I saw Brett McMurphy say that K-State's win total for the 2024 season is at 9.5, and the first Vegas line that I've seen for K-State for their win total this season, this is from Circa, is 9, and I hate the even number, like no half in there.
Agree.
I hate those because if you told me 8.5,
easily,
I'm saying that's easy money to me. Mm-hmm. Easy money. K-State 8.5. The Cats at 9. You know, you have an opportunity at a push, I guess. You know, you may save yourself some money in a way. You know, maybe a little bit better odds to not lose your money because I think 9 wins is certainly fair for K-State. And I'm not sure if I've quite actually landed on a number yet. I know rosters are still coming together a little bit, but most of these teams already know what they've got.
Yeah.
I'm not expecting big things out of Arizona State, Cincinnati, Houston, and that's all at the bottom of K-State's schedule. As I've said before, I think K-State's schedule is more top-loaded than it is back-loaded, with the exception of Iowa State, which is going to be a road trip November 30th up to Jack Trice Stadium. UT Martin, at Tulane, Arizona. You know, what stands out about K-State's early schedule is there's a lot of interesting places to go play football.
Yep.
I mean, K-State's going to visit BYU for the first time since 1977. Heading to Boulder for the first time in 15 years. Or something like that. You're heading to West Virginia. You don't have a stretch of back-to-back home games until you reach the end of October. K-State's going to be tested early on the road in 2024. John Summerall is now the head coach at Tulane. K-State's going to New Orleans in week number 2. And then you, in week 4, go to BYU. And then a couple of weeks after that, with an off week in there as well, you're heading to Colorado. West Virginia. West Virginia, to me, is still a wild card. I know some are a little bit low, and most are still, you know, kind of, I don't know what, if there's like a median on how people feel about West Virginia. I'm just saying, you know, I think with their offense and some of the power that they can have on offense, that could be a bit of an issue this year for some teams. I think they will. I think at the very least, they're middle of the pack in the Big 12. I don't think they're going to Neil Brown with a bit of a, shocking bounce back year last year when he was on the hot seat for half of the year. Now he's winning games. Gets Mayo dumped on him in a bowl game. He won his bowl game. But can he do it 2 years in a row is a big question.
Yeah, I think they're going to be a trap game for a lot of teams. Like, you're going to think that this isn't going to be the greatest game you're going to play, and if you don't show up to play them right, I think they're going to catch some teams off guard. And those are the teams that, if they get hot at the right time, can be dangerous towards the end of the season. So anyone who's sleeping on them is probably going to find out the hard way.
See, my trap game right now, West Virginia is fair, but my trap game right now, it would be Colorado.
Yeah, I would agree with you.
Because Colorado, still building that roster, obviously. They lost a ton of guys once again in the transfer portal. There's still work to do for Deion Sanders. But right now, I think it's fair to say they're probably, 5 to 6 wins.
Yeah. The last time Kansas State played in Boulder would have been November 20th, 2010. Colorado got the win 44-36 in the last matchup. So it's a pretty even series until you get into the late 80s, early 90s through mid-90s. Colorado went on a decent run, but post 97, it's been pretty back and forth for the series. So it's the first time in 14 years that, the Purple Bus is going to be making a stop in Boulder. So that game is going to be really interesting because I think they're going to be probably a lot of what they were last year, which was a very flashy offense. And if you can't put up points or get after the quarterback, you may have some struggles against them. But if you can get through their offensive line, or you can make Shedeur Sanders uncomfortable, or just outscore them. I mean, that's the other thing, because the defense outside of Travis Hunter wasn't great last year. So it is going to be a really interesting matchup. I'm excited to play that one when college football rolls around.
Well, and Colorado has to find an offensive line.
That's the bottom line number one.
Shedeur Sanders was sacked 56 times. And I'm not exaggerating. 56 times last year, somewhere in that area, give or take a couple of sacks. But he was on his back a lot.
Yep.
Also making some highlight plays. And don't forget, Travis Hunter is going to be a Heisman. He'll be up there in the Heisman odds, and he is.
He should be.
When it comes to non-quarterbacks, he's one of the more popular Heisman picks, along with Ollie Gordon, of course, of Oklahoma State. I mean, the Big 12 certainly represents, when it comes to best players in the nation, the Big 12 has some representatives.
I think the Big 12 has probably some of the best pool of non-quarterbacks as far as Heisman Trophy candidates go, like you just listed, the top two guys. I guarantee those are probably the top two guys that are not quarterbacks in most Heisman rankings right now, and they're both in the Big 12.
And Vegas is saying right now, when it comes to win totals, they're not giving anybody double digits. And I do think that is fair. But there has been a common trend now, and that is K-State and Utah are getting the most love. Yeah. Although I feel like there are some other teams certainly in the mix that can go out there and win the Big 12 this year. K-State definitely deserves the hype. You want them to be in this position. Oklahoma State isn't getting the most love right now. Arizona State's not getting the most love right now. It's K-State and Utah. More people, though, are talking about Utah.
Mm-hmm.
K-State, we know what K-State has.
Yep.
The nation knows that K-State has, I say the nation, those that pay attention know that K-State has Avery Johnson.
Mm-hmm.
Dylan Edwards is definitely a push in the right direction. I think adding Dylan Edwards could give you an extra half or a full game in your win totals for Vegas just by adding his talent.
I would agree. And
K-State's offense becoming more deadly, but it's not like there's not questions with K-State's offense.
Yeah,
offensive line, wide receivers. I think to me the jury's out on them.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be a much different offensive line. Your top two, three pass catchers from a year ago are gone.
Mm-hmm. There's a lot of tests to go through, and I think Utah's probably getting a bit more love because there is more familiarity. We've seen Avery Johnson start one bowl game. Just about everybody in the nation knows who Cam Rising is. Is he the best quarterback in the land? No, not at all. But he's very solid on a very well-coached team that has a very stingy defense. Those teams produce results, especially at the end of the year. They're a very difficult team to beat when it's the war of attrition late in the season. Utah is coached to survive those wars. So it definitely should be those two teams at the top of the pack. And then afterwards, again, you fall into a lot of those 8-win spots. And there's going to be a couple teams that win 2 games over and a couple teams that lose 2 games under. So those are the win totals that I don't love touching a ton because they're right in the middle. They could go either way. They're predicting just an 8-win season. It's like, it's never the most confident bet for me, at least. But I can tell you that I think I still feel pretty confident at K-State 9.5. Like, I don't know if I'd, slam the house on it, but I would take it.
There's 2 names for Utah you need to know: Cam Rising and Kyle Whittingham.
Yep.
Kyle Whittingham with Cam Rising has shown consistency. They have won 2 Pac-12 championships. Despite not having Cam Rising, still quite a fight from Utah this past year. Cam Rising is back for another year of eligibility. Decided to come back, not to enter his name in the NFL draft. I'm not sure if he does get drafted. He may. He would be a day 3 guy, but looking to change that status with another year. And K-State does not play Utah in the regular season. I think right now, for most in the Big 12 media, their Big 12 championship game is slated for K-State and Utah, unless something does change down the road. But that right there is your popular pick for a Big 12 championship game: K-State and Utah. Not Oklahoma State, who has Ollie Gordon. Not Arizona, who keeps, despite a coaching change, some of their best players, young best players, that really made that rebound for Arizona this past year, are still on the team. They did not leave. They didn't go into the transfer portal. They didn't follow anybody. They're staying home. That was very big for Arizona.
It was.
And right now, Arizona, according to Vegas, is at 7.5 wins. Little surprised by that.
Think it's a little low?
I would go 8.5.
I would too. I would feel confident betting them. I would slam 7.5 for them.
That Friday game, it's Friday the 13th, by the way, September 13th, a Friday. That is a huge game.
That is massive.
I mean, you're talking K-State, if things go well for them, there's no slip-ups at Tulane. Again, that's going to be a weird road trip.
Yeah, they're another team that you can't count out ever.
But Arizona's not going to lose to New Mexico. They're not going to lose to Northern Arizona. And they're going to come here as probably a top 15. K-State's going to be a top 15 team. That's a huge Friday night game. That's going to really tell you what kind of spot K-State's in most likely at that point if we think Arizona's as good as they are. I'm high on Arizona. Not everybody is as they should be. I'm high on Arizona. I'm high on Oklahoma State. Houston is really – or not Houston, but Utah is really good. Houston's going to be bad. Arizona State's going to be bad. Cincinnati's going to be bad. Colorado could be, but we'll see. Once K-State gets through those first 4 or 5, really the first half of the season, man, they could get through that first part of the season at least 5-1. K-State is absolutely golden to work their way into a Big 12 championship game and certainly get over 9.5 wins. Another break. When we come back, we continue on with Hour 1 with Jabroni of the Week after these words.
Know your role and shut your mouth, you jabroni!
You jabronis hit the jackpot!
That Hollywood blonde jabroni, Hulk Hogan.
Ow! Is this Jabroni's name?
Jabroni of the Week.
Oh, here we go. Once again, boys and girls, Mitch Fortner back with Owen Burke as you're listening to the game on News Radio KMAN. It's time to crown a brand new Jabroni of the Week. If you don't know how this works, I'll give you my 3 dishonorable mentions. Jabrones I thought about officially giving the crown to this week, but there can only be one Jabroni of the Week. So you'll listen as we move on my process to picking out a Jabroni of the Week. All right, let's start with dishonorable mention number 1. We talked about this last week. I'm going to give it to the Oakland A's. The Oakland A's cannot wait to get out of Oakland.
Yeah.
Because if you're going by attendance, they're not the Oakland A's, they're the Oakland F's. Because nobody is showing up to these games. It's an average attendance of under 6,200, which is historically bad.
Yep.
So bad that there are 553 sports teams in the United States that have better average attendance than the Oakland A's. And and that includes 13 minor league baseball teams, which they're going to be playing in a minor league ballpark for a few years there in Sacramento. 11 minor league hockey teams have a better attendance than the Oakland A's. 12 NWSL teams. and I'm sure the KC Kern are one of them.
Yeah.
7 WNBA teams, and we've only played a few preseason games. And 1 professional volleyball federation team, the Omaha Supernovas. And that reminds me, I need to make sure to go back to their website and get my cart paid for because I'm getting some merch.
Yeah, you got to go get you a jersey or something.
From the Omaha Supernovas, because I'm going to tip my cap. I'm not saying they don't deserve having a good crowd on hand, but good for them to play in a facility that holds more than 6,000 people.
100%.
And they're putting butts in seats.
I bet the Savannah Bananas pull more than that. I could tell you that, too. I don't know if they're listed on there or not.
I'm not even sure if I've ever heard of the Professional Volleyball Federation.
I haven't. I'm not
the
not
PVF?
well-versed. Yeah, I'm not well-versed in my volleyball historianism.
Wonder what that logo looks like, the PVF, the Professional Volleyball Federation. I bet it's a cool logo.
Not many federations left out there.
Federation is a good word.
It is. It's a great word. It's a very business-like. Everyone's went to company or this or that. Not a lot of federations. Respect to the volleyball world. Keeping it alive.
Sounds like the boss is,
yeah,
real tough guy.
Yeah, World Wrestling Federation has always sounded better than WWE. WWF has always had a better ring to me. But
so there you go. I mean, you're proving my point.
Yeah.
You know, whoever runs the federation's got to be a dictator.
That's true. Hey, you're not wrong. You're not wrong.
All right, dishonorable mention number 2. I want to go with Lehigh University lacrosse. First round of the NCAA tournament taking on Johns Hopkins. Now, they weren't a favorite to win this game. It was close. But in their second quarter, they're tied at 2. And Lehigh has the ball. Here comes a shot. Whistles. Releases the shot. Ball goes in. The reason for the whistles is because there was lightning in the area. And the referee saw it right away, blows the whistle right away. Like, does not waste a second. And is right as the player was releasing the shot, right before releasing the shot, and the ball going in, and they would have led 3-2. But due to the rule, it was not an inadvertent whistle. It was for safety concerns to get the players off the field. By that rule, since the shot wasn't in motion at the time of the whistle, did not count. Lightning delay goes into effect, and they continue on with a 2-2 game. So Lehigh was, because of lightning, robbed of a goal. They did lose 13-10 to Johns Hopkins.
That's a tough one. Old Mother Nature.
Lacrosse should be the only sport you lose to Johns Hopkins in.
True. Very true.
I don't know another sport they play.
You definitely should never see another sport of theirs and having a one in the win column, that's for sure.
But if they do have sports, you got to bet they're going to have lacrosse. All right, my last dishonorable mention is going to go to Tarleton State's Sergio Guerrera.
Oh?
So, this was a game this past weekend against Utah Valley. And TSU's Guerrera, trailing 8-6, launches a home run to left field. Over the fence, 1-run game. And for Sergio, that's his first home run of the season. Late in the year, close game, gets his team within 1. He's rounding the bases, comes home, steps over home plate during the celebration, and goes back to the dugout. Nobody really noticed at first, except for the home plate umpire was still just kind of sitting there, looking down at home plate, looks back up at the player, looks down at home plate, looks back up at the player. And that's when Utah Valley was like, why is this umpire just checking out home plate like that? So the old skipper, he starts whistling. I can't whistle, but he's like, hey, get the ball. Get the ball over there. Get the ball, step on home, out.
Wow.
Take the run off the board. Luckily for Sergio, his teammates got his back, and they end up still winning the game 11-8.
There you go.
But my jabroni of the week, I'm so glad this game showed up as a potential jabroni because when I saw this headline and I started reading the details, what an incredible moment. So the last 2 dishonorable mentions, we're talking about points of runs coming off the board. Now we're going to talk about runs going on the board in dramatic fashion. My Jabroni of the week is Indiana Tech Baseball. That is a real school. Indiana Tech. They are NAIA. And this past weekend, the NAIA opened up their baseball postseason play. Indiana Tech in their little regional was taking on Indiana University Southeast.
Oh, yes. Very well known, respected. Yes. Continue.
So, we're in the ninth inning, and Tech leads 11-2. This game is over. 3 outs to go. They're almost done. And they have their first win of the postseason. Before you can even blink, Indiana Tech retires the first 2 batters. So 2 outs, bottom of the ninth. It's a 9-run game.
Yeah.
This game is just about over.
Yeah, let's just wrap this one up and go home.
Not so fast. Error, single, double, double, error, hit by pitch, single, double, double, home run. Indiana University Southeast, with 2 outs in the bottom of the ninth, scored 12 runs
Jesus.
with only 1 out to work with. And the last hit was a 3-run homer to win 14-11 in one of the biggest ninth inning 2-out rallies in the history of baseball, wherever it's played.
I was like, I would go out on a limb and say it's got to be one. There's no way with 2 outs somebody else has put a 12 spot on the board before.
And utter chaos. Like, if that was a Big 12 game or some sort of Power 5 game, there's a crowd on hand. The place is going nuts. Because this is NAIA and they play at barely high school stadiums, nobody's there. So the only eruption is the actual team. There's like no crowd going wild or anything. It was just the team celebrating. And honestly, it was kind of weird. Hearing the team celebrate in their team way.
Yeah.
Jumping up and down. Here comes the Gatorade bath at the end as he steps on home plate for the game-winning hit. Crazy. 12 runs on 7 hits, 2 errors in the bottom of the ninth.
Wow.
For Indiana University Southeast to rally with 12 runs to beat Indiana Tech. That's my Jabroni of the week, and we'll wrap up hour 1 next. We did not have as much time left as I thought we would. My math was wrong because I was going to do a minute or two on Doug Gottlieb.
Yeah, that's a crazy story.
He's now the head coach at Green Bay. We're talking about the sports talk show host that used to play basketball at Oklahoma State. Maybe we'll talk a little bit more in hour number 2. Here's your local news.